Welcome to the Arts to Hearts podcast, a show where we take a peek into the hearts and lives of our favorite artists. From running a creative business and practice to mindset, we talk about everything that goes behind into making a life and a career that you adore as an artist. Think of this as your happy hour with your favorite artist in your studio. Hear them share the messy and the wonderful side of creating and living a creative, heartfelt life within and outside our studios. As you tune in, be ready to be inspired and encouraged. I'm your host, Charuka Arora, an artist, designer, entrepreneur, and founder of Arts to Hearts project. Thank you so much for being here. Let's jump right in. This episode is a part of a special expert takeover series where artists, gallerists, curators, and other industry experts guest host a special episode and share some actionable tips, personal experiences, and valuable learnings with you. I hope you enjoy this episode and share with others.
Hi, I'm so excited to be on here today. My name is Brittany. I'm an artist currently residing in Pennsylvania, but I'm going to give you a little background about me and my art and how it has led me to what I'm doing today, which is merging art and fashion to create a sustainable, unique clothing line. I also want to share ways that I've promoted my artwork and my business and strategic tips for you to promote your art business, especially when you're just getting started. So a little background about me. I was born in New Jersey and I grew up surrounded by art and creative people. My family is very creative and my mom is an artist. So she was always painting, sewing, or creating. There were always creative tools accessible to me and art was just always something that came second nature. Besides always wanting to draw or paint, since I can remember, I was always trying to express myself through clothing. And I've always been extremely particular about what I wore. So even when I was in first grade, I would cry on the days that I had gym class because that meant that I couldn't wear a dress or a skirt and I hated wearing pants. My mom was the best because she would take me to the local fabric shop and she would let me pick out any fabrics and clothing patterns that I wanted and she would make outfits for me. So I just was always able to be creative and I think that I almost took it for granted because I never looked at fashion or art as a career path. It was just always something that was ingrained in me. And when I was in high school making the decisions of what I wanted to pursue as a career, I decided I wanted to be an actress or a broadcast journalist. So after I graduated high school, I moved to New York City to study acting for film and television. That's when I really discovered my love for fashion and learned so much because the way that my dorm was set up was that I was in a building with students from other schools in New York. So students from FIT and LIM, two major fashion schools in New York, were dorming in my building. And I ended up becoming friends with a lot of these fashion students and fashion people. One of my best friends who I met in New York was working in fashion. She had gone to fashion school in Chicago and I met her while she was interning. And I learned so much just by being around her, being around people who were in that community, and also just observing, just walking around the streets of New York and seeing all of these incredibly stylish people. I was just so inspired and I wanted to be stylish and fashionable. I was a broke college student, so I had to figure out a way to look nice and also be stylish and also express myself and be unique. So I would go thrifting and I would thrift all of my clothes pretty much. And sometimes when you're thrifting, you come across a piece of clothing that you absolutely love and it's like an amazing designer, but it's stained or damaged, and that's probably why it's at the thrift store. So what I would do is I would buy the piece, even though if it had an imperfection, and then I would paint over whatever that imperfection was, if it was a stain or something like that, and I'd paint one of my little designs and Even I would buy handbags and paint on them because painted handbags are the best statement piece. And it got to the point where I was actually getting stopped on the streets and people would ask me, "Where did you get that? Oh my gosh, I love what you're wearing." And it's crazy because I didn't look at it as a business at all. So I just continued to pursue acting, and I realized that eventually that wasn't for me, and I had a bunch of different odd jobs, and I continued to paint on clothes, and it was just an outlet for me. But I would say about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago is when I really started taking my art seriously and looking at it more so as a business. And currently I'm building my business. I really just got started with the art on clothes. Before that, I was building my paintings and selling my artwork. And you can go to my Instagram at Brittany Minnis Art, BrittanyMinnesArt, to see exactly what I'm doing. My goal when it comes to my clothing business is to be as sustainable as possible. So I thrift most of the clothing that I sell. I paint on the items or I heat transfer my custom designs to the pieces. I love transforming handbags into beautiful works of art and statement pieces. And I also have made to order button-down shirts and t-shirts that are brand new. And the way I keep it sustainable is that I order everything in very small quantities and each piece is made one by one. That's a little bit about me, but I would love to share some tips and explain some things that have helped me, especially when I was just beginning and trying to build my artist resume and trying to make an art career. So a lot of galleries will ask you for a resume. And if you didn't go to art school like myself, this can be very difficult and a little bit intimidating, especially if you've never had the opportunity to publicly show your artwork. So what I did is I made it happen for myself. I didn't wait for the opportunities to come to me. I decided that I wanted to just have an art show. So one of my best friends, who is an artist, went in with me and we rented a space in the Lower East Side in New York, and we had a show one day. We hung our artwork on the walls. We had cheese and grapes and crackers and chocolate, and so many people came. The way we promoted the show was we went around to local businesses and asked if we could leave flyers. And what was so great was that some of the owners of those businesses actually came to our show. And what happened was it led us to having art shows in so many various places because these businesses said, "Why don't you have a show at my establishment?" So we had shows at a chocolate shop, at a spa, at a bar, at a restaurant, and every single show led to networking and meeting new people, and that led to different collaborations and different opportunities, and we made a lot of amazing connections. So I would say if you don't know where to start, just start by making things happen yourself, one step at a time. Just create those building blocks, and you never know what can happen or where it can lead you. If you're an artist, the next thing I just want to mention, always carry around your business card. And social media is definitely amazing to create connections. But now, especially that we're kind of going back to normal with COVID kind of stopping, we are going to be going to more in-person events and seeing people in person more. And in-person connections are so important and they're so special. So just make sure you have your business card with you because you never know who you're going to meet or what kind of opportunities will be presented to you. It's so crazy because my first art sale ever was actually my local barista, and I would get a coffee every morning, and one day the gentleman behind the counter, the barista, was like, "What did you do today?" And I said, "Oh, I was working on a painting." And then I started talking about my artwork and showing him some of my paintings. And come to find out, his mom was a huge art collector and he wanted to buy her something special for Mother's Day. So he purchased one of my paintings. And I know that it can be so difficult to promote yourself without feeling like you're being braggy or annoying. And I completely know the feeling, and it takes a little bit to build the confidence to talk about your art. But when you do, you can grow your network, you can find collectors, and you can get opportunities. And then just being able to hand someone your business card just makes it so professional. And not only giving people your business card, but asking them if they have a business card and asking them if you can reach out to them, because this way you're solidifying the connection. So that is another piece of advice that I just wanted to say. And I'm going to just jump over to social media. Everyone's always talking about promoting yourself on social media, and it can be overwhelming. There are so many, even just, I'll start with Instagram. There are so many Instagram pages dedicated to ways to promote your business on Instagram. And, you know, the best way to go about it is to not be intimidated by the numbers. Don't feel like you don't have enough followers, because at the end of the day, it is quality over quantity. So you want to find your ideal collectors. And the best way to do that is find artists who have a similar style to you, or artists who you want to model your career off of. Don't copy them, but get ideas from their content and see what is working for them. Find a way to make what they're doing unique to you and what you're doing. And then look at not only who follows them, but specifically their followers who are engaging, commenting, liking their photos often. And then go and engage with those people, because that will draw them to your page. So this is just one, I think, of the best social media tips that I've tried. And this way you're getting people who actually want to follow you, who really love your art and love what you're doing. And also just connecting with other artists and like-minded people and building a community. I think that building a community is so important and so helpful. And then you don't have to post every single day. Just try to be consistent and find a schedule that works for you and stick to it, because consistency is key. And I'm talking about Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. Just be consistent. You have heard this before. I know you have, but I'm going to say it because it is so important. Videos are everything right now, and not just reels, all kinds of videos you can take and repurpose for content. People want to see your process as an artist. They want to see you talking about your artwork on camera. So try to make videos. Try to set up a little tripod when you're working on something and record what you can, or even just show your artwork on a video, because sometimes pictures don't do the work justice, and with videos you can see the whole piece, or you can hang it on the wall and take a video of you hanging it. Anything, any kind of video is great. So I highly recommend that. Okay, you are an artist, but also remember you are a business owner, and there are so many resources out there to help build your business. Personally, I love to find clubhouse rooms and listen in on rooms about business growth, social media growth, but there are many podcasts as well. And a few that I recommend are Beyond the Studio, Creative Pep Talk Podcast, and the Create Podcast. And there are a million books out there. I just have to mention one book. If you are an artist and haven't read it yet, The Artist's Way, you need to read that right now. So the last thing that I wanted to say, and I already touched upon it a little bit before, but find a community of like-minded artistic people to have. Find artists that you trust and use your community to ask questions, share resources, and even vent, because being an artist is so hard, and sometimes letting out your grievances to people who get you can help so much. And being surrounded by artists and creatives is inspiring and uplifting. Oh my gosh, and I can't forget this. I have one more thing to say. Journaling, I believe, is so helpful, and for the longest time, I never journaled because I felt like creating my art was enough of an outlet for me. I'm an artist because I'm not good with words. But journaling has helped me so much by really helping me finally explain my artwork and my story. As artists, we sometimes forget that our story is just as important as our artwork itself. So journaling, brain dumping, which is just writing down all your thoughts, and taking notes will help you figure out the most eloquent and concise way to tell your story. Every day I write down what I'm grateful for, what I want in my future, my goals, and also what I have to do, and it helps me just stay on track. So I highly recommend journaling if you aren't already. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that my tips help you. Please feel free to DM me. I'm an open book, so reach out. Let's be friends. And thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. You can find all the details and links mentioned in the show notes of this episode available on www.arts2heartsproject.com. And if you like this episode, please don't forget to tag us in your stories and leave us a review here on iTunes or any of your favorite platforms. It really helps us to keep the show going. Thank you so much. I'm sending you lots of love, and I can't wait to be back here soon again. Bye.